Hello there. Welcome in. I'm glad to hear that you've survived another holiday and gotten everything back where it should be. I'm just quietly working on a couple of drawings and winding down and listening to the rain hit the roof. My day was kind of going along until it sort of hit the wall. I felt it coming on and I was just getting a little bit discombobulated is the word I like to use, but or it gets difficult to string the words together into coherent sentences and start to feel clumsy and headachy and, dare I say, cranky. So I took a time out and had a rest and uploaded a new short. That pen's going to be too big. I think I want a smaller one. There we go. Thank you, Dip. You know, I was pondering that the other day. There's a few people who, there's probably more than a few people, but there's in the chat I get some viewers in who do work with resin, and I'm sure they could be laminated, hot laminated, like down at the office supply store, and used as coasters, particularly this 4x4 size. And that would really be fun, wouldn't it? Have a stack of those to just toss out. And since everyone is different, like if you had a party, people could, they'd know their drink one from the other because their coaster would be different. But we do have a couple of people around who do the cast resin. And I wondered if you could slip a piece of paper into the resin and have it one, adhere and hold so that there wouldn't be an internal fault that would pop the thing apart if you dropped it. And two, my question it would be whether or not the water-based media would stay on the paper or if it would be somehow activated by the liquid nature. So you could definitely use Mod Podge, but that product I have had it on the desk and I have had stuff sitting on it. So I've used it for some other projects, and glass will leave a water ring on it. So maybe something like a wipe-on polyurethane. That might work. But they'd need to be, well, I don't know if they need to be, but I mean, I would think I would want to put them on somewhat of a solid base. But I guess, when you go to a bar and they give you those cardboard coasters, those are just a piece of paper. But you'd want them also to function, and so they would have to be sealed all the way around because I do use water-based media for that first layer, and then the micron pens are a pigment marker. Those are waterproof, and but I think even if if water came up from the back, like if you just put a layer across the top, water came up from the back, it would activate and pull, particularly some of the really strongly dye-based pigments would pull through, and you wouldn't want to stain on your nice furniture. Yeah. No, I will say I love the creativity, and I love that um, idea of thinking, what's the next step? That's that's sort of a hallmark of artists and artistic thinking is, where do we go? What can we do? Where can we where can we apply this? So keep up keep up with that. How are you doing? You having an okay holiday out there in the in the Midwest? Probably got some snow going there. Hi, Carrie Ann. Yeah, how are you doing? We must be coming up. Are we? Uh, you're going at 6 o'clock, right? Right, Carrie Ann? Um, I headed towards here around the 5 o'clock hour, and I just was gonna go for a little bit, and if anybody wanted to check in, but I did want to not roll over the time slot that you had there. So let me know. Don't hold back. Oh, Carrie Ann. Okay. Yeah, I was kind of hanging in there. The strategy to make live streams um, with with friends has sort of been a band-aid on it, but I have heard from people that it's just, it's a holiday. It's always a mixed bag. Even when it's good, it's stressful. So I have really appreciated seeing how people have um, been willing to reach out and share what they're going through so they can get a little bit of um, just a little bit of sympathy, a little bit of support. That it's a tough time of year for sure. This is going to sound so stupid, and I know, and tomorrow I'm going to just go, well, that was foolish. But I was doing okay, and then I went to get my dinner, and I had ordered some food, picked it up a couple of days ago, and had meals in the fridge. And one of the things I had ordered was supposed to be macaroni and cheese with buffalo chicken, and I paid extra to have some bacon topping on it. So when they say buffalo chicken, I assume there should be some chicken in the mac and cheese, and it was just mac and cheese with a bunch of buffalo hot sauce poured over the top, and no bacon, no chicken, no protein in it. So I did not handle that terribly well. I was kind of it was like, I really tried to get the stuff taken care of so that I could just go to the fridge and pull something out and not have to think about, the family on the other side of the town that are all hanging out with one of my family members put me in the hospital in March, And because she's the only caretaker for my 85-year-old aunt, I didn't press charges. And I also it was 3 days before my cardiac surgery, so I just didn't have the wherewithal to go through that. And I know we've really seen how the legal system grinds, and I just said, well, I'm not going to be in that spot, so I'm not going to let that happen again. Um, I'm sure she's still a danger to society in a lot of ways, but anyway, so the family is hanging out with her, and it just feels so fucking unfair. Um, but family systems that tolerate abuse and tolerate violence do not operate in fair ways. They just don't. So I came a little bit unglued that my dinner was basically protein free, and yeah, one like change is hard because um, just because it's not one of my great skills, and having expectations and then having things shift. And part of it is being autistic, and part of it is just I'm kind of like I told them how it should be, and they didn't make it that way, and now there's fuckery, and um, so had a little leftover pizza. So the my mom would have never tolerated that kind of bullshit. She would have just um, one, the police report would have been made, and two, um, a person who had been victimized like that would not get locked out of the celebrations. So I know, Carrie Ann, you said that you were just in kind of a sad place. It's really tough, as we get older and we have loved ones that we've lost, and they're not there for what should be the happy times. Or the everyday moments, or the small joys, or the big crazy. Thank you, Jessica. I know I pulled a pile of all kinds of. I went with that. I thought it's hard to be sad when you're looking at hot pink and purple and orange and yellow. It's such a bright, uplifting kind of a combo. But I like this one too. This one's fairly subtle, and I used a paint that contains a little bit of graphite mixed into this, and it's so smooth. It's kind of marvelous. I put it on the back side of the paper too, so the texture's a little bit smoother and kind of mix it up a little bit. Thank you, Dip. Well, that's a glitterism if I ever heard one. Dip Me in Glitter says, remember to breathe, and things always will brighten up and sparkle when you least expect. Oh, I found something kind of remarkable. Let me see if I can find the swatch. I don't know. I don't know how much you work with paint. Um, we've not really had a chance to sit and talk about art, so I'm glad you're here and always welcome somebody who's who's arty, and just even if they're an art spectator. Hi, Antics. Um, I swatched the Daniel Smith dot card I got. I'll run this past. I know you guys probably all know what a dot card is, but the paint company sells these, and they just put a little swoop of watercolor paint, or sometimes gouache, any kind of a water-based media, I guess, would work for this. They just put it on the card and they let it dry, and then you can take a wet paintbrush and activate that paint. And as always, I'm always wanting to order some new colors and try some new things. And one of the paints on there is made from amethyst, genuine amethyst. And I expected it to be purple, but what I didn't expect was it to just be glittery. And it's got an iridescent white, highly reflective sparkle to it that is so beautiful. I guess it's nature's glitter in a way, so it doesn't have that microplastics issue that we can have with um, plastic glitter. Um, and I've been using it all over the place to just add a touch of sparkle. I think I sorted most of those out because um, sometimes the pens can pick them up and it can clog up the pen tip. So when it starts to be a little, like I could tell it's on its last leg, then I go to the ones that have the glittery, sparkly stuff because I don't want to, I don't want to wreck a brand new pen. But I do love to work with it anyway. Um, I thought that was kind of a cool glitter alternative. Their kyanite genuine also has that sparkle going on. And what else? I think there's just a whole handful of them in there that I was. Oh, this one's really sparkly. This is fuchsite in red, and then it comes in this minty green. It's so hard to believe that we've got minerals that just make these beautiful colors. And bronzite also in that line. Those are some of their Primatech colors that are made from genuine stone. Um, but wow, nature's glitter, right? Isn't that fun? Oh, I like that. Jessica says I like that minty green. Me too. I think it might be fun for sort of a watery, like, wouldn't it be kind of be beautiful in here as a bit of a watery surround, or sometimes with the rocks, the bigger paintings that I do, not these little sketches. Well, let me grab one real quick here. So I did finish up. I think I'm finished up with this painting today, but I like to go in and create little veins that look like veins of quartz throughout some of the spots in the rocks, and I generally use paint that's got mica in it, but it tends to look I have to work at making it look subtle enough to just look like a bit of quartz crystal and rock. But I think these genuine, maybe the bronzite will will mix other colors into it, so it'll be versatile. But boy, oh, I used a little bit of the amethyst here on this purple one, and I don't know if the sparkle, it's probably a little hard for the camera to catch, but it's there, and as you kind of move past it, it just adds a little something to the rock that makes it look a little bit more like something you want to reach out and pick up. So that's kind of fun. That's how to get me off the the sorrow and feeling sorry for myself is just, let's talk art supplies. That is something that usually cheers me up. So, yeah. Dip me in mica. Mm. Thanks, you guys. Well, I'm glad to see you. I Oh, Dip says I get paint in my hair. Does that count? Oh yeah, full credit for arting if you get paint in your hair. I mean, even if you're painting a ceiling, it's still. I think it counts. I mean, anytime you take a bodily hit with art supplies of any, you know, you got marked by art. That counts. Mm, mm, yeah. Bright and sparkling. So what do you guys have planned for tomorrow? What's coming up this weekend? Let's get out of today and think about the future. I know I'm usually just hammering on about being in the here and now, but I think sometimes it's okay to just let go of it in the same way that it's good to let go of the past and try to be someplace else that's healthier. And if the here and now isn't the healthiest, or I'm not opposed to a little bit of a coping mechanism now and again on special days to get a little relief from whatever is the trauma that's been activated. I don't know if any of you guys were around for the motorhome saga a couple of days ago when my next door neighbor came and knocked on my door, and which I've asked them not to do. I've asked them to text. I'm not opposed to them coming over, but I have mobility issues, so I don't like to have to dash for the door. And I just think it's common courtesy, right? You ask somebody, please text before you come over. It just takes a second to say, hey, neighbor, got a minute? Because I always say yes, when they do. But time and time again, she'll be banging on the door, and I'm down at the other end of the house just trying to rest, or. And then the bang on the door, and my heart rate just always goes way up, and I get angina because of the heart situation. Which I've told her, I'm like, when you do that, it literally causes me pain. So could you please, you know, um, do this instead? Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, okay. But no, they bang on the door, and I get up and go down there, and, they're standing there empty handed with a big grin on the face of, hey, would it be okay if we need to have our motorhome here. We're getting ready for family to come at the holidays. And would it be okay if it hung over onto your driveway 2 or 3 feet? That'd be okay, right? And I like it just, if I hadn't been sort of half asleep, and I did just kind of stand there and look at her for probably 3 or 4 beats, and instead of going, oh, I see that that's like she's what that would be okay, right? We'd appreciate it so much, and so I just kind of went, Yeah, I guess if it's 2 or 3 feet, that I can work with, because I back my car out this driveway. It's not convenient. It's my place that I, I pay for it, and they've been quite willing to impose upon any sort of allowance that I give them. And I just kind of took a breath and went, "It's Christmas. Just be nice. Just tell them it's okay." And I said, "Yeah, for how long?" And they're like, "Oh, just a couple hours. We need to." They'd pulled it over from their storage, and they were gonna get it set to go over to wherever they go. And so I gave in and said, "Okay, I guess I'd be all right." And of course, when I go out to pull my car out, this thing is parked. I've got a 2 car driveway and I've got a carport. And they've got the motorhome pulled halfway across my driveway. So that, like, I don't even have a full half of it to back out. And they've put it in such a way that if I'm backing out, the traffic is coming, behind it. So there's like no way at all to see the traffic that's coming down the street. And it's just, one of those cases, or somebody said this to me the other day, that if you give them your pinky, they'll take your arm. So I was not a happy camper. And I used the classic passive aggressive of standing there staring at them inside their window with a scowl on my face and looking at the motorhome and then looking back at them and then looking at my watch and then looking up at them, and then got in my car, slammed the door, tried to back out and had to, do a couple of these to get around the front of their damn motorhome. And I get out and I see like they've got tons of space on their property, but it's just like if they pull it into my place, then they can walk around the tail end of it for whatever. But they basically made their problem into my problem. And the thing is there like 2 days, and I finally I finally said, you need to move this out of my driveway because what you asked for was 2 to 3 feet. This is half my driveway, and it's it's not okay. And the guy says to me, "Well, the battery's dead." Wow. How did you get it here if it has a dead battery? Like they drove it there. So oh, and then Maya says to me finally, that reminds me of National Lampoon's Christmas Holiday, that movie where the brother-in-law comes with the RV." And as soon as she said that, I just lost my, just, just, it's, like that's National Lampoon going on in my, my damn driveway. So that broke me out of the complete crankiness about it. And, then another reminder, I really need you to get out of my driveway so I can drive my car in and out. I have places to go. And also, I really react to being trapped. Um, we get old and we stack up trauma, and I've been kept places where somebody wanted me to be and I didn't want to be. We'll just phrase it that way. So if something gets between me and the door, I'm already squirrely. And certainly something trapping me in my own driveway, that did not sit well with me. I was not happy about that. I felt like I couldn't, and especially I'm trying to maneuver my rig to get out of my own driveway, and it's just, um, I'm just tired of it. Just tired of how people impose in ways, especially when you've said, yeah, kind of like don't. So, um, yeah, I went back over there. Finally, when I came back from running the errand, I just um, made my presence known in the driveway and stood there with the three of them looking out their window until. And it's such an odd arrangement over there too. It's two men and the woman is 74 and the men are like in their 60s and 70s, and it's a wild household over there. And anyway, he finally comes out and he goes, "Is there a problem?" And this time I just went, "Yes, there is a problem. Um, this is not 2 to 3 feet, and now I am going to need you to back that thing. It's been plugged into your battery charger, and also I don't care what the battery status is. You're gonna figure out, get it out of my driveway. Um, they used up, they just exhausted all of my knives, and he was looking at me like, I think he finally actually heard my words that time. But I hate having to escalate that far. I'd rather just, especially somebody's living next door to you. You don't want things to be hostile. I think, um, you know, cordial is way better, but these are the same group of people that um, I, I came out. They moved in, and I came out one day shortly after they moved in, and she was in my yard, cutting my rose bushes down, and I looked over, and she'd cut the hydrangea down. It was September, and hydrangeas don't work that way. If you cut them down, they put a bunch of energy into new growth until you don't cut them down until after the first frost. And so she'd gotten to two of my hydrangeas before I realized what was up to. She was up to, and she was like, "I know you're disabled, and so I was going to help you out. And I love doing yard work, and there's not really any plants in my yard." And big shit-eating grin on her face, like and I had the impression she felt that she was doing me, a favor, and that it was a kindness. So I didn't yell, "Get the hell out of my yard and take your clippers with you." I just said, I've got a yard guy who comes and does this stuff, and, we talk about what's to be done before he sets about doing work. So, thank you, but we really do have it handled. Anyway, yeah, the third time she came and did it, I was, yeah, any tips for handling boundary ignoring neighbors? I'd certainly welcome. Yeah. Well, I think, yeah, Antics says, I'd be livid, and you ask before you do something like that. In my book, you don't do something like that unless somebody comes and says, I've got this thing, I really need some help with it. Can you help me out? And then you figure out what it is they need, and you work in a really limited way. But you sure as hell don't go and chop somebody's hydrangea down to the, um, yeah, she kind of did what my dad would have called, that's a piss poor job. So, of course, the hydrangeas sprang back into trying to put growth on, which means that next year they won't bloom. And one of the ones she cut was right outside my studio window, and I love to watch I left the flower heads on it because they weather and they kind of change color in the fall. And it's just beautiful to look out the window and see those there. So I don't know what to think. I'm trying to think of some way to be appreciative, to have neighbors. That I'm struggling. And the lady that lived there before she was in her 90s, and she was just this kind of amazing trooper of a woman who, in the time I've lived here, she had hip replacements and shoulder replacements and just was really independent. Her kids would come and do stuff for her. They'd be here every week, but she was in her own home doing her own thing. And then her daughter decided she was going to move down to Utah to be closer to her grandchild. And since she was the main caretaker for her mom, she just said, "Mom, you're moving with us down to Utah." And they packed her up and moved her off, and didn't seem like she had much choice about it. So, but she was a lovely neighbor, and I really miss her. She didn't park RVs across my driveway. Jessica Lynn says, people are strange. Boy, really, they're probably over there going, boy, that neighbor next door is just, like, she just keeps to herself, and no, she's so damn quiet, we don't know what the hell she's doing over there. I'm sure it must seem strange to them. But they did get the motorhome running, and they went away today. So it was muttering something about uh, going to the other side of the mountains. So I didn't listen. I just kind of took in they are going. They are not going to be here running generators and creating chaos. We do have an HOA here, and um, they do drive-bys a couple times a day. And I thought, oh, I'm sure, because we have rules, of course, here. You can't park RVs. You're allowed to have like 4 hours every so many weeks where you can bring your rig, and because of course, you've got to clean it, and you've got to load in new food and do whatever. So there's a very small allowance for that to happen. And I thought, oh, the HOA, the managers are going to come over and tell them they're getting a fine and make them move it along. But then nothing. So I just like, who wants to be the person that calls the HOA and goes, I want you to go cite somebody, because home ownership associations they can be quite oppressive. But in this case, I might notify them and say, hey, you guys let a motorhome sit there, and not only that, you observed it being across my driveway, and as far as I know, no action was taken, and please take action. Or I could, ignore it and move on. I don't know. I don't know. Where should it be on the petty scale? Give me yeah. Well, I started this stream peaceful and moved it right into petty. That's kind of life, though. It kind of swings between things, doesn't it? And really, like, if the worst thing that happens this holiday is there was a bit of a parking foul, it's, it's probably damn probably they're probably getting off light, right? Is that Kelly there? I see. Hey, Kelly. How goes the move? I really like the kind of yellowy greens in that one. Hmm. Yeah, I didn't see you come in. I thought I had this set to all chat. Yeah, Antics says I love hydrangeas. Aren't they? They're so beautiful. And I love the way that the ones I have, I know you can get varieties that are solid color, but the ones I've got they shade from like a red violet just a clear blue. Sometimes on the like the same bloom, and their flower heads are made up of little florets that make that big ball of beauty. Dip says no more trauma 2025 will be amazing. Yeah, let's all have that. Oh, Dip's got a public service announcement for us. It's the Lush sale tomorrow, so she is going to get her Lush on. Oh, I love their lip balm. Doesn't have, what is it? Doesn't have cocoa butter in it or something. It's one of their allergen one, but it's got the best mild but pleasant flavor. I'm kind of sometimes I'm averse to sensory overload, but Lush is one place that um, I do enjoy being in there. Right until the point it overwhelms me and my brain stops working and I have to, I have to run away, run away. But I like some of the products from Bath and Body Works. Don't love the corporate structure thing of it very much, but um, I miss remember the old-fashioned Body Shop back before it got sold and went corporate? That they had some. So Antics, you were sick again? You already got sick last year. What's up with that? You're not supposed to do that twice. Yeah. Well, Kelly, man, I'm sorry I didn't greet you when you came in. I don't. Um, I'm scrolling back and I see you're here, but I see people talking to you, but yeah, I didn't. That's really odd. So, but it's good to see you. Yeah, the OG stuff, right? Well, let's hang out a little bit longer. I don't know. What do you think? Kind of like that one. Do, do. I feel like I kind of did one in that color already, but you know, never let that stop me. Apparently, I will do more and more and more in the same color. Like there's an email going on around that's kind of said she just does the same thing over and over again, and you know, what the hell, people? Have we not figured out by now in this community that the that back channel stuff just makes its way right to the person you're talking about? Adam, hello. I hope you're having a peaceful holiday, and it's lovely to see you. Banana Republic's supply closet says Adam about the body shop. We had an atmospheric question for you earlier today. There is some effect that happens in polar night where the ice crystals that are suspended in the air refract the light coming from lower latitudes. So there's not any daylight, like in places like Svalbard, but the light hits those crystals and it refracts and it turns the sky kind of a pinkish orange and illuminates it. And for the life of me, I couldn't remember what the name of that effect was. So um, I actually said, you know, I bet if Adam was here, he might know what that is. Yeah, atmospheric phenomena for 800. So Maya was saying that sometimes experience that kind of an illuminated sky, which isn't technically light, but it's a winter phenomenon. And I did not live quite north enough in Alaska to see that kind of thing, but lots of northern lights. But I would like to see that thing that I can't remember the name of, what it's called. Hmm. Yeah, I want to say it's almost like it's somebody's name, and I think it starts with a K, and it's like some fact. Next Tuesday, I'll be driving along. I'll be heading to the wherever I head on Tuesdays. I don't know. Tuesday's a long ways from now. I don't know where I'll be going on Tuesday, but my brain will choke that out. Tell you, an old brain's a great thing. I mean, it's full of so much stuff. I mean, there's tons of info in there. It's the access. It's the access to all of that great knowledge that is a bit tricky at times. Anyway, here in Oregon, it is slapping down rain right now in the western part of the state. So we're having our traditional wet Christmas. Oh, golly. Oh, this one's got lots of nice circly shapes to find. So the Lush After Christmas sale. I'm already getting emails from the art supply stores that I like to order from online with overstock of this and that, and it's the same crap they've been sending emails about that I went. One of them is just trying like crazy to sell this paint that's kind of generously described as watercolor paint. I ordered a couple tubes of it a ways back and just went, "Whoa, that's really just." When you take the cap off the tube, it just runs out of the tube. The consistency is just way too much water in the formula, and it flakes out of the half pan when you put it in the palette if it dries down. So you could just tell there's not enough binder in it to really stick it to the paper properly, and uh, it is it is student grade for sure. And now they've got a 12-piece set of it, and it's the same thing that I've just been trying to scroll past for the last 2 months, and they've marked it down to, I think it's $3.25 for a 12 uh, 12 tube set. And to compare that to kind of the artist quality watercolor, those, and I think those are probably 10 milliliter tubes, but the 5 milliliter tubes that are quality, they run about $6 a tube. So if you can buy 12 of these for $3.25, and I'm looking at that, just going, I'm still not, even with free postage, no, thank you. So we'll have to see if their offers get better, but I'm not falling for that one. Might actually have to leave the house and go see what's at the stores. Yeah, but point point 0.07 out of 10 on the uh, should I'll just leave the brand name out of it. Yeah. It really is. Adam says he doesn't make art, but buying art supplies seems fun. They're quite colorful, and there's something just fun about sorting through and trying to pick, the color that you want. And I will, yeah, I think so. Kelly, you're still out there buying. When I was making jewelry and buying beads, beads are quite satisfying. Not that I have anything, close at hand. Yeah, I've been thinking about getting back into. So I've got a few design ideas bubbling up in my head about jewelry making, and they make sort of a satisfying clicking sound, and they're beautiful, and just such a variety of shapes and colors. Yeah, if you're gonna buy some random art supplies or craft supplies, beading is good. I also find it very appealing that things that are made out of glass and stone, I think, the wood and maybe some of the plastics are not going to be durable, but some of the oldest human artifacts are glass beads, and along with, shards of pots and that sort of thing. So sometimes as I'm pawing through my hoard of beads and arts, you know, beads and pearls and stuff, I know it just blows my brain away to think that 10,000 years from now, all this ephemera, I mean, I'll be gone, this paper will be long gone, um, but maybe something that I made out of glass beads might be found, and not sure who by, but it's theoretically possible that humans could keep their act together and still be excavating the ruins of today's civilization. Alrighty. Any other random art supply requests? You guys know I just love reaching over, grabbing something random for you. To do an art installation with just the art supplies. Oh my god. That is a fantastic idea. Well, that'd just work through the horde of stuff. That, there it was. There was my head just going brilliant. Yeah. Used to have a rock polisher. Oh, uh, that's a lot of fun. My grandfather built one. I mentioned this before. My grandparents were rock hounds, and he used a small, like a, it's probably 2.5 or 3 feet across, like a small cement mixer, and he converted it into a rock tumbler, and it just would sit out in the shop, and just he would have it going, and he loved to polish agates. We find a lot of agates on the beaches here in Oregon, and I can remember going and he would show me how it was just tumbling, and of course it would take, probably a couple 3 weeks of just continually being slowly rotating and having everything with some grit and I don't know what do you use, oil or water or something in there, but with along with some sand and grit, and you put all the rocks in and you just let the thing either shake or tumble, and after a period of time the pebbles are wonderfully smooth. They sell one at Harbor Freight Tools. So here's just a rock that you find, which is it's a perfectly good rock. It's got a beautiful bit of banding in it. And then after they've been in the tumbler for a bit, super shiny. So that's not, you just need to be able to find a few rocks and load the thing up. I mean, you don't have to be able to draw or do anything to make something really beautiful. Kind of fun. Not quite sure how bad that sound is, so slide it over. Yeah. We'll keep a couple of agate slices here for inspiration. So I was talking earlier about using that amethyst paint to create just a little sparkle. See, there's a little pocket of quartz in the center of this agate that catch the light a little bit. That's what I'm kind of going after with the paint on the bigger painting of rocks. Yeah, Jessica, these were the kind of slices that my grandparents, they made a 3-foot diameter table that was made of resin that had slices of all kinds of rocks they gathered, and all over the state. And along with, they did it in the 60s. So it had big, that big old fashioned glitter that was a big square. So it had gold glitter all through it. And then they backed it with some pink fish gravel. And it was hideously fabulous. I mean, I loved it as a kid because I would just sit on my knees and, they would often, the kids sat at the table. So, um, oh, I want to go to there. Adam says there's a store in New York City called Rockstar where you can buy all manner of rock and crystal. Yeah. So I would just look at that, and every time, if you sat at a little bit different spot on the table, there would just be something amazing to look at and just fantastic. So, any of you guys know what a wool winder is? I guess Mama Squirrel might. Um, it's a contraption sold in Japan that clamps onto the edge of a table, got a cone shape on the top, and there's a geared arrangement with a handle, and you feed the end of your skein of yarn in, and as you turn the crank, the thing rotates and spins, and it winds the wool from a skein into a ball. And the good ones are made in Japan, and they cost about $75 at the. They're made of plastic, right? They're not terribly sturdy, but you can find them at the probably can't find them at Michael's, but you can find them at independent yarn stores. Anyway, I had this friend, and she said this friend would go to yard sales all the time, and she would ask people that she knew, what can I be on the lookout for anything for you? What do you need? And I said, yeah, she would ask and ask and ask, and finally she'd be like, surely there must be something you need. And I finally just came up with this in order to give her an answer so she would stop asking me what used crap that she saw at yard sales that she would. I didn't want stuff hauled back to my house. Now, don't get me wrong. I'll buy stuff at yard sales. It's just it's it was just anyway. So I said, well, I guess if you see a wool winder, yeah, pick that up. If it's too expensive, I'll have one of those. And because it's obscure, right? Are you going to find a $75 working wool winder at a yard sale for a couple of bucks? I never had in all the years I'd been going to yard sales, and I thought, well, this will be good. This will give her something to do, and it'll get her just to stop pestering me with the questions. And I'll be darned if the next garage sale she went to that weekend, she called me up and she said, I've got your wool winder. What? It was $2. And I mean, I was flabbergasted, right? And we chalked it up to that effect of I'm really not into the prosperity stuff because cults, and stay the hell away from that. But sometimes, apparently, if you ask the universe to bring an inexpensive, gently used wool winder your way, the universe will go, oh, I can do that. So I ended up driving down to my friend's place. She lives a couple hours away from me, and we met up, and I reimbursed her for the wool winder. So ever after, when you make a wild wish, like I hope that I can find a 3-foot epoxy resin table with slabs of various slices of rocks embedded in it. The universe will wool winder it and bring it your way. So oh, Dip knows. Yeah. So I don't know. You just tell the universe what you want, and it has a way of here you go. This is why you need to be careful what you ask for, because you ask for trouble, it'll come a visiting. Ask for the cool stuff. Yeah. Oh, I've got a cat hair that's just. There we go. Yeah, I think I want a few little tiny ones, but I don't want to get. This one's looking pretty good. And I had a tendency over the last several days to just keep covering the entire surface, which is all right. It's yeah. Adam says wool winder sounds like a back massager in a 1930s movie. That was just something funny about that combination of her genuine intention to be helpful and say a couple months later she found another one that was the larger size and she picked that up and so we can get that wool wound up into balls. And the nice ones where the yarn can pull from the center of the ball, they're just a fiber artist's helpful gadget, I guess. Not necessary. You can do it by hand, but it does keep things kind of maybe not exactly tidy, but it does keep it untangled so that you can just knit and not always have to stop and set your knitting down and untangle the skein. And I think my friend really she enjoyed going to yard sales and stuff, but she had found kind of everything she needed. And, if she put together a list of things that other people were looking for, it gave her a good reason to keep hitting those uh, yard sales. And you do see some cool stuff at those, especially if you can get out in the county a bit or out in the small towns. Adam, well, thank you. It was lovely to see you today. I'm probably going to wrap up here pretty quickly. I think we've just pretty close to the finish on this one, and been going for over an hour and a half. I was kind of shooting for hour and a half today, just to have a little landing spot for people to come in and debrief, right? We lived through it. It sucked. It was great for 5 minutes, and then also sucked. Or even if it didn't suck, that's okay too. That's great, actually. Not sucking isn't that, is that a thing? That might be a thing. Alrighty, you guys ready for the art show? We always have to have the post-stream art show and take a moment to look back in the chat. There's Dan K. How was the pie? Uh, Thank you, Dip. I appreciate that. Yep. We need a corner where we can just find a little bit of community, even our ordinary lives without activism, without work. They can just chip our corners off sometimes, and I think it's good to just have a place where you can come and hang out and uh, be kind and get a little kindness and just look at something that's artful and slow down. Get your breathing slowed down and your heart rate down a little bit. And I know it looks quite simple, but it wouldn't really matter what the heck I was doing here. But the point is just to have some respite from the things that are winding us up physiologically, amping us up, and contributing to our mental unease and our physical um, susceptibility to getting sick. That it's not great for us to have a lot of stress. It'll get you in the cardiac unit with 6 stents in your heart. So believe me on this. You just take some time and figure out something, a mindfulness practice that works for you. So, Jessica, you are welcome. You're welcome. Thank you so much for spending time with me. I appreciate that. So Dan made peanut butter pie, and deviled eggs with bacon. Nice, nice. All right. Let's see. Where did I? I think it started. Maybe I started here. It's a nice gradation and texture. The paint I used in here, I'm pretty sure it was the Gansai Tambi graphite paint in graphite yellow. And it just leaves these wonderfully smooth areas. I'll take a bit of a blending, probably a piece of cotton, and see if I can burnish those up and get a bit of a sheen to it. If that's the paint I use, that's what it will do. It's got pigment BK20 in it, which is graphite. And we went to some seafoamy greens. Angel Calico, welcome in. Well, thank you very much. Glad I found you. This was very relaxing, and I love what you've created. Well, thank you so very much. Mm. Mm. Dan, that's a lovely offer. Yeah, we went to some nice bright colors here. And I'm experimenting, adding in some pen lines on these ones that where there's not a lot of contrast and the color's already bold. I wasn't sure I wanted to come in like I usually do and shade in the um, the shadows and highlights with. I might drop in some bright white highlights with the cartoonist ink. It's very very bright. It's it's almost whiter than the paper, but it very effectively indicates some highlights. So rather than use shadows, I wanted to keep the graphic quality on this one. So I might come in and put some more pen lines in to indicate where the shadows are. Just evolve it a little bit. And then here's our finisher. Something in sort of peaceful tones. And it's been a run of live streams here. I I think we're on, this is 103 or 104. I was shooting to get 100 live streams in and live streams and shorts. So we got there. Thanks for everybody for watching and hanging out. We've done over 100 live streams for this year. So that was a goal met, and pretty close on my goal for watch hours. I was just saying that because I've stacked up, I think 4 in the last 48 hours, I don't really have things scheduled. So it might be a couple of days, couple 3 days. It'll take. Just have to see how I'm feeling. I like to come to this without being too. I like to bring some calm to you so that we can. I know there always ends up being something that's a little bit traumatic that comes out, but I do, believe it or not, try to be in as good a mental state as I can be before I do this, so that we get something positive out of it. And Angel, if you set your notifications, I try to do a community post and give folks a heads up that I'll be going live later, and even occasionally I will schedule one if I'm able to. But I am I just end up usually about 2 or 3 times a week, often on a Tuesday, usually not on a Friday. You guys are off doing other stuff on Fridays, it seems like. But a couple times a week, and the community post will give you a heads up about what time to expect. And sometimes I do schedule the live so that you will get, I think you get a notification, and the upcoming is what it says on it. But because of my disability, I'm not always able to conform to a strict schedule. But if you, yeah, I'll tell you on Saturday mornings, man, if you like to see people make stuff, Dan K with Elegant Wood. I'll drop a link because we're getting ready to finish up. But I've got links to Elegant Woodcraft's channel. And he's like clockwork on Saturday mornings. So that's a pretty cool community, just hanging out, watching Dan make some stuff, something different every week. So I do recommend that. Yeah. So Angel says, that's cool. I'm a go with the flow kind of person, so I'll just keep an eye out. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you guys letting me have that flexibility. And yeah, I kept thinking that it would fall into a bit of a rhythm. It does have a bit of a pattern, but it doesn't have a 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Tuesday kind of a pattern. But there are live streams, 2 to 3 times a week here. So, and they do also tend to be at sometimes, they'll happen mid-morning. Sometimes they'll happen in the middle of the night. So there's a variety of times, and it's usually about the same as this. It's just kind of hanging out, and I love interacting with the chat, and sometimes I will be painting on the bigger rock paintings. I'm not sure you were in here when I ran that past, so I'll grab that really quickly. But I'm always either putting the paint on these for making the blanks. Sometimes we're swatching paints. Sometimes I'm working on these bigger paintings. Just yeah, we did some holiday cards. We painted some snowmen and some trees. So it's usually just something kind of kind of in the zone with it. So well, you guys, get some rest and listen to yourselves. If you're feeling a little overwhelmed and stressed out, go ahead and thank you, Dan. Yeah, I I worked on it a bit this afternoon with Maya, and I feel like as I was looking for the pebbles to just add a little bit more paint, and I really reached a point where I I didn't see anything else that was catching my eye that looked like it was not quite done. So I think I'm gonna take that one off the block, and then we'll have a fresh piece. And I started. Did you see the one I started, Dan? It's taken a different turn, and I'm really pleased with the layout on this. I've used some of the new granulating paints, new to me. They've been out there and um, upgraded to the cotton paper, so I've got it taped off, and I've got this linear arrangement, and I'm going to fill in over here with some of the medium small pebbles. And I think I might actually leave some space instead of scattering the whole entire ground with pebbles on this one. Yeah, isn't that's a lot of fun. Maya took one look at it and said, "That looks like a seagull egg." And I looked, and it is kind of there, but it's got the soda light genuine that when it hits the water, it makes this little starburst that's just fantastic. I'm really pleased with how that one came out, and of course always like the jade colors. So I was letting this one dry down and set for a bit so my brain can kind of figure out where to go next on it. So all kinds of stuff coming on. But as I was saying, yeah, just listen to your intuition, and if you're feeling a bit overwhelmed, um, step out of the whatever is the pressure, whether it's a geographic, it's a physical location. If you're tense and you're hanging out and you're in the living room, pick yourself up and go to the kitchen or go to a window. And try to get your eyes on something like a plant or anything with green. That will help to downregulate that stress a little bit. Just change gears, and if you feel yourself driving towards going and yelling at your neighbor, I should take my own advice there. And I'm sure they'll be back imposing on me again in a couple of weeks. They seem pretty thick-skinned about being told, no, thank you. But if we all just try to do that, we'll make everything around us a little bit calmer, quieter, more peaceful. And I don't know about sweet and loving, but we can at least try to um, just have less conflict. And pretty soon, just a few days, we'll slide into January. Those days are getting a few more minutes of daylight every day, and before you know it, the crocus are going to come up. They pop up here in Oregon in January, and anything that was oppressive and dark is just gonna be in our rearview mirror. We've got some good stuff to look forward to. So hang in there, and I will see you on the next live stream. Bye, everybody.